It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
You meddled in things that you
Where will we go next? Just phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi, my name is Alex Daikaiju. To my left,
Jasmine with
across from us,
Eli Watson.
and we are
Cryptid Campfire.
Yep. Ugh. I don't know about you guys, but I think we're flying over some odd time zone because it feels real early in the morning to be doing this.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so we're in a spaceship right now, hurtling through space. We've talked about some of the alien abductions. We've talked about some key elements of the alien UFO lore. And today, I think we're going to dig into another possible element of the lore.
Something that we already kind of discussed in our Mumbling Mothman Part 2
Ooh,
episode.
Crossover?
Crossover? Not quite. We just go into it a little bit deeper, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually looked at my notes from the Mothman episodes, and I don't have a single mention of what we're talking about today. I know we discussed it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I took no notes
You were
on
like,
it. I was like, I'm
nah.
not dealing with this.
And today we are talking about...
Indrid Cold.
Oh, yeah. Mr. the Smiling Man himself.
The grinning man.
Ooh. Yeah, we mentioned him briefly during the Mothman episode. He's always kind of tied to the Mothman story. He pops in and out. Possible Man in Black connections.
And then you start reading into Indrid Cold and realize he has nothing to do with Mothman at all.
Oh.
So I remember Jasmine was really confused on how he has anything to do with Mothman at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right.
Looking
He
at
doesn't. He has nothing to do with it other than the fact that it happened around the same time as
Yeah.
Mothman.
Right.
Nothing to do
and
with
in
Mothman.
the same area.
Yeah.
Because West Virginia, basically there's a Mothman flying around. And then there's also just a weird guy walking around taking people's pens and asking them awkward questions.
Yeah. And everyone thinks that's Indrid
They're like,
Cold,
what does it mean?
But it's not.
Oh, it's a fake?
Do we even really know what Indrid Cold is? Because I
He's
don't.
a crock of shit.
He's the shadowy, distorted character that shows up for 2 seconds in the Mothman prophecies.
Hey, he's cool. He's a cool... Alright, I'm going to save it for later. But...
Well, I was just going to say, it's funny because this seems to happen a lot with us. Like, we pick a topic, and we're like, this is going to be so good, and we're going to research it, and we're going to learn so much, and it's going to be so entertaining, and then we actually dig into it and, like, do the research for it, and we're like, this is not as exciting or entertaining as we thought it was.
Yeah, or there's just not that much info.
Yeah,
like,
there really isn't.
But that's our job, to make it entertaining for you.
Yeah, we do our own independent research, get together, talk about what we find out, so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. So, Indrid Cold is a...
Non-biological extraterrestrial. Try to keep up with the acronyms.
Possible
Okay,
alien,
yeah, all right.
interdimensional being.
That's from Transformers. Sorry, I had to make that reference.
Ooh.
Please continue.
Human-like in appearance, though is commonly associated with UFO activity and is sometimes believed to be an alien, amongst numerous other things. Also known as the Grinning Man, like we said, which we'll explain why that is in a little bit. But we mentioned previously that these sightings happened around the same time as the Mothman, which was in 1966.
Mm-hmm.
So, West Virginia.
Born and raised.
Yes. When I was doing my research for this, I came across 3 significant sightings of him.
3.
3.
Ooh.
All right. Share them.
Okay. So the first one happened October 16th, 1966.
Mm-hmm.
James Jimmy
Yankitis?
and Martin Mouse Munov were walking home.
What are these names?
Well, who are these 2 cluckers?
They're just some kids.
They're
They're
kids.
2 kids that gave themselves their own nicknames. And they're like, well, my name's Martin Munoff. I'm like 2 feet 6 inches, tiny kid.
What?
He's called Mouse. And then James Youngkitis, he couldn't think of anything cool, so he just chose his nickname to be Jimmy.
They were walking around, walking home along 4th Street in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And they were nervous because they had heard of a story from earlier in that day about a tall green man chasing one of the neighborhood women. So
Whoa.
even before this story, there's apparently another story that's not detailed
There's
anywhere.
the backstory that we haven't been filled up.
Yeah, no. So they were nervous. They were walking home. Basically, all that happened is they were walking along, and they reached a corner that's opposite of a local landmark called the Turnpike. And I didn't look up pictures, which probably would have been helpful, but the way they explained it is they said that this was an elevated area with a high wire fence and a steep incline. So the decline on the other side of the fence was so steep that the boys had never seen anyone attempt to scale it, nor had they ever seen anyone on the opposite side of the fence. So it was like, why would anyone want to be on that side of the fence type thing?
Yeah.
But on this night, they reported that behind that fence stood the strangest man they've ever seen. He was
Michael Jackson.
unusually tall and bald. And he was wearing a green suit that was, like, reflective. So sometimes described as, like, it looked like metal. So it was, like, a shiny, metallic green suit. And he had unnatural facial features, claiming that they could not remember seeing any hair, ears, or nose on this figure.
Woo.
Now, this is where it gets, like, a lot of the stories we're going to tell today have conflicting information from different sources. Like, even this one story, one source said that the dude just stood on the other side of the fence smiling at them, and then they ran away. One source says that the man chased them until they got away, which I'm like, if he's on the other side of this fence, then how did he even start chasing them?
Dude, mind freak. He just walked through it.
Whoa.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's like, hold this piece of cardboard in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Angel.
What? It was just a Chris Angel, like
Just
early
Chris Angel.
early promotion in 1966.
I don't think he was alive yet.
How'd he do it?
So yeah, that's all I got for the first one.
Okay.
I found this story on a couple different websites, but there's not really any more information.
That's
Two boys.
the bare bones of
But
it.
okay,
Yeah.
so they think it's Indrid Cold because he was smiling?
They think it's Indrid Cold because he was smiling and he was wearing the metallic green suit.
Okay.
And he had no nose. He was
Mhm.
bald because sometimes I think we'll kind of maybe go into it a little bit, but sometimes he shows up with hair and
Yeah,
sometimes he does
black
no
hair.
hair. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I kind of slicked back. So, but this time he was bald. He forgot to put on his nose and his ear appliances that day.
Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah. Oh, what if he is? He just switches out his facial features because some people say he's a shapeshifter. But so he's wearing his green pajamas.
Yeah, and I do have. There's another connection onto why people think it's connected to the Grinning Man or Indrid Cold, because it was associated with a UFO sighting that had occurred at exactly the same time 40 miles north of Elizabeth near DuPont Explosives Factory outside of Pompton Lakes. Now,
Pompton.
I don't
Ooh.
actually see how these two things happening at the exact same time mean that they're related because they're so far apart.
Yeah.
You mean like Mothman and Indrid Cold?
Like, it doesn't make any sense because if this is, 40 miles away, then how the heck would this UFO have anything to do with this man anyways?
Yeah, I mean, what's the grand plan too? It's like there's a UFO
Yeah.
by an explosives factory. All right,
Mhm.
maybe they're trying to steal some TNT or something.
Mhm.
Then 40 miles away, the co-pilot got dropped off at the turnpike, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stand here for a while and then terrorize children." Because that's the step 2 of the grand plan.
Well, I don't know. You guys might not know this, but there's been like several times it's been recorded, and it's like happening pretty frequently and pretty recently, actually. It's happening in Russia. It's happened here in the States, where UFOs will be seen around like places where atomic bombs and nuclear weapons are stored,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them go offline.
Whoa.
Like once the UFOs like over them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's happened like several times.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's
I
the
don't-
plan?
To get us to not blow up the planet, maybe.
Oh.
Maybe.
Those Alien bastards.
I know, how dare they try and protect us. But so there's this UFO sighting, and there's not much to it really either. The initial eyewitnesses to the event were a police officer and his wife, and they said that they watched the object, which they described as resembling a blazing white light as big as a car, nearly hit an almost 600-foot tall television tower before it vanished over the hills. And then on the other side of the hills, 2 other police officers had seen the UFO soar over the reservoir at a low altitude. Sergeant Thompson, who was on the other side of the hill, later said that the light was brilliantly white. It lit up the whole area for about 300 yards. In fact, it blinded me when I got out of the patrol car to look at it, and I couldn't see for about 20 minutes afterwards. So we got a UFO on one side of town, and we got supposedly Indrid Cold on the other side.
Yeah.
How these two are related, we're just pulling at strings here, guys.
Yeah. What's the next story?
The next story is from Woodrow Derenberger.
Okay, cool. I'm
Ooh.
glad we're bringing this up because it's all my research is on.
Oh,
Yeah, no, he's the most like famous encounter with Indrid Cold.
Well, he's the reason why we call him Indrid Cold is because of Woody.
Yeah.
Old Woodrow Wilson.
What a different story.
Woodenberger.
Different story if it was Woodrow Wilson.
Whataburger? Whataburger?
Whataburger.
Do you want to tell the story then? Or
Nope.
do you want someone else to tell the story because you're going to come back with a rebuttal for the story later?
No, I have a lot to add on to the original story.
Okay.
So, but I don't have the original
Okay.
story.
Do you
so-
have the original story?
I have a loose remembering of it.
Okay,
because-
do you have it?
I have the story.
Then
Oh.
I think maybe Jasmine should
Oh, I was
share.
gonna be like, all right. So we got Woodrow Derenberger. He's a salesman who sells sewing machines.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a fat weirdo,
Okay.
hanging out on the roads by himself. Picks up
Mhm.
Indrid Cold in a cigar-shaped UFO, and they go to magical island of Luminos.
Nope.
Whoa, that
Not
story
even close.
just, it started off really right, and then it got really wrong.
So yes, Woodrow Derenberger, he is a sewing machine salesman who worked in Marietta, Ohio.
Hey,
And was
how many
driving-
Woodrow Wilson Derenbergers have you seen?
No.
That wasn't even coherent.
Again, so this is November 1966. He's driving home because he lives in Mineral Wells, West Virginia. So he's on Interstate 77 along a hill just outside Parkersburg.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, he pulled over to readjust one of the sewing machines that had shifted in the back of his car. But after he did that and he started going again, this is where I get varying sources. I
Okay.
literally have 3 different stories. One source says that, like, he heard a crash and then a craft appeared in front of him.
Oh.
One source says, like, headlights pulled up behind him and he thought it might be a cop, and then they pulled in front of him and then he realized it was a ship.
Yeah,
And
that's
then-
that's the version he tells.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he's driving and he thinks it's a police car, but he realized that what he was looking at wasn't a police car, and whatever it was shaped like an old-fashioned kerosene lamp with a central bulge and flared edges. So
Had some like flame decals on the side too.
spaceship.
Yeah.
So this UFO like stops in front of his car, touches down, and like hovers there, and the door slides open, and a man comes out. Now, according to Derenberger, this man was average in most ways. He had a deep tan, which was unusual for the time of year, but he also had black hair that was dark and swept back.
Swept back.
But the creepiest thing about this man was the broad grin that he wore the entire time that he was
Okay,
interacting
that's
with him.
interesting because he does not mention the grin
No?
in the book at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does not talk about the grinning man. He's never referenced him. He calls him Indrid Cold the entire time.
Yeah,
It's
no, I will deviate real quick from my story,
Yeah.
just real quick, because I want to scroll down to where I have notes. I watched an interview with his daughter, and she says she doesn't know why people call him the grinning man, because
Yeah.
that's something. She says she doesn't know why people call him the grinning man because he smiled just like any normal person, and even though her dad claims Indrid spoke telepathically to him, Indrid spoke normal to to Tanya, probably because he didn't want to frighten a child. So we'll get into the telepathy in a minute. So it's possible that the grinning man and Indrid Cold are two different things. Eli's laughing at me because I'm waving around like a s'mores stick.
Yeah.
In my hand that was in the room for some reason.
The giant
So I
step
have
sword.
this giant metal stick that you put marshmallows
And
on.
she's like pointing.
I
when
am.
you make your points.
I'm using it as a what do you call those sticks that conductors hold?
Oh,
Is there a name for that?
A pointing stick?
A pointing-
I have no idea.
conducting
Anyway.
stick.
So Indrid Cold pops off the spaceship, and they have a conversation, but they do not have that conversation with their mouths. They have that conversation with their brains,
With their hearts. They
their
speak
minds.
from
That
the
would have
heart.
been.
Oh,
that would've
you're
been better.
closer to the truth than you realized. Frank.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, hey
So he gets out of this spaceship and approaches Woody Derenberger, and he heard the words, "Do not be afraid. I mean you no harm. I only want to ask you a few questions." Now, also, as he's doing this, apparently this man, kept his arms folded with, both of his knuckles under his armpits
Yeah,
the whole time.
he was wedged up in there deep.
And he was also wearing a metallic-looking uniform that was green and glistened in the
See,
limited light.
I just looked back at the book
Mm-hmm.
because that's not in the book either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he just wears a black suit in the book. I literally just double checked.
Yeah, because
Man, I'm
a lot of the...
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no.
this is weird that
Yeah.
the internet is making this stuff.
Yeah.
I know.
I feel like
this poor guy, Woodrow Derenberger, he met Indrid Cold, and he's just, telling everyone the story, and they're like, oh, and he had a green suit on? No, he was just a guy, and he was smiling like the Joker? No, he talked just, telepathically. You mean he goes to New Jersey and haunts children on the turnpike? What are you talking about? I'm just trying to tell you about Indrid Cold.
It does say that he wore a dark coat over top of the metallic uniform.
Yeah.
But
A lot of the reports say he wears green metallic
that
pajamas.
is so odd.
But
Mhm.
they always say he has a black belt too.
What?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's got a black belt in
in
intergalactic kung fu.
so Indrid Cold communicates telepathically to Derenberger, saying, "You can speak or you can think. It makes no difference. I can understand you either way."
Love conquers all. Hey.
So according to my sources, Indrid Cold identified himself as Cold to Derenberger, saying that he came from a place less powerful than the United States, and that his job was a searcher. And he reassured and admitted that he was flesh and blood, just like Woodrow, and in no way special or spectacular.
He admitted to being unemployed. Well, what do you do? I'm searching for a job. That is.
The entire conversation took between 5 and 10 minutes, and then Indrid Cold looked inside Woodrow's car and said, "Mr. Derenberger, I thank you for talking to me. We will see you again." And as he said this, the spaceship came back down, and apparently a hatch opened and a human arm extended,
Whoa.
pulling Cold up into the craft.
Whoa.
That's not in the book.
And then the ship jetted off into the air. But also during this conversation, I guess Indrid was asking about the town that was down the road,
Yeah.
and asking a bunch of questions about, oh, is that where people live, or is that where people work? It was just a really weird experience. He had also said that he came from a place called Lanulos.
Yeah.
So
And so
it's in the galaxy of
Ganymede.
Ganymedes.
Ganymedes.
I think it's pronounced Ganymede.
Ganymede? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the S. at the end of it.
Gilgamesh.
I have an S.
I don't.
But anyways,
I don't know.
You know what? The internet threw one in there for good measure.
Might as well. He's already wearing a green coat
He's-
and he's smiling incessantly. So
the
But-
cool. Go ahead.
Oh, and so you said in this first encounter he just called himself Cold,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting.
Where does Indrid come from? I don't know.
Yeah.
from Lanulos.
Lanulos. No,
Oh.
his name
Fro-
Indrid. Where does it come from?
Oh, I know where it comes from.
Oh.
All right, so I guess I'll share the bulk of my research now.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
Because-
get into it.
So I read most of the book, Visitors from Lanulos, or
Lanulos.
Lanulos, or however the hell you say it. And it's written by Woodrow Derenberger.
What's his middle name?
W.
For Wilson?
I don't think
Woodrow
so.
Wilson Derenberger?
No,
Yeah.
no. His Woodrow Derenberger. Woody Derenberger.
Woody.
I don't
Hey,
know.
Woody.
Anyways, so basically the story is more or less what's on the internet.
Did you read the whole book?
Not all of it.
Okay.
I got really close to the end before I discovered some things that made me not want to finish it.
Like the fact that the last 10 pages have been ripped out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done.
Alright, so anyways, so he sees this ship.
Mm-hmm.
He talks to Mr. Cold. Mr. Cold says, "What's that little town over there?" You know, Woodrow explains it. I'm going to call him Woody.
Woody, yeah.
That's what he's referenced to in the book as. So I'm just going to call him Woody from now on. So Woody says that nobody really lives in this city because that's where just people go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess that's how cities work.
Yeah.
Like, nobody can live in a city. Anyways.
True. It's all true. Cities are just nothing but giant empty cardboard cutouts where people go to work.
Yeah. So Mr. Cold gets back into his ship. He closes.
A giant hand comes
No.
and picks him up like a claw machine and drops him back in.
The claw.
No, what Woody says is that he just walks back in and he closes the door.
Okay.
Like, like a regular human being. And then they fly away.
This is so interesting. Like, where does the internet come up with
I
this
have
stuff?
no
If this is
idea.
directly from the source.
Right. I have no
Anyways,
idea.
continue.
Anyways, so Woody drives home and he gets home and he's like freaked out. He's like crying. He's like telling his wife. He can't describe what he's seen. He just eventually he does tell his wife that later that night, but she's like even more freaked out than him.
You know what happened is, so Woody comes home. He's like crying, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And he says, "His wife, I had a strange encounter with a strange man on a backwoods road, and I don't know how to explain it." And she starts crying and looks at the camera like The Office.
What? Anyways, it was on a highway. It wasn't a backwoods road. Anyways, he's able to fall asleep that night. He goes to work the next morning like a good man, and he says he has to tell someone about it. So he tells his boss.
Oh no!
And so his boss
don't ever tell your boss any crazy stories.
His boss
Promptly fired him.
tells somebody about it, and I guess he shows up at work at 8 a.m. and then like 2 hours later, let's see, what does it say? Glenn Wilson, the producer from WTAP TV in Parkersburg, West Virginia, came to the store to ask him questions about his sighting. So he shares it publicly over the radio. Everyone's like, "Oh wow, this is crazy."
Yeah.
And then that's when it happens. When he goes home that night, he finds people parked in his driveway and his lawn, and they're just all hanging out there. They're like, "Yo, where are the UFOs at? Show me them aliens." I'm not even kidding.
People are Naruto running into his house.
Well, because he had also said that Indrid said it would not be the last time he sees him, and that he would have multiple visits from him in the future.
Got to set up the sequels.
And he does, and I will share those with you. But
so he gets home and there's this like a raging kegger on his front yard.
yeah, basically he stays with all of them till 2:30, and then he tells them all to leave because he has work in the morning. So he answers all their questions till 2:30 a.m.
Oh man, that's fun. That's crazy.
Yeah. I wouldn't. He says he got home like shortly after 8.
Okay.
So that's like a good 6.5 hours.
6 hours just hanging out with these people.
Talking about the same thing over and over again.
Have a couple brewskis on the lawn.
Anyways, so November 4th, that's the second day after his first encounter. He was on his way home from Pomeroy, Ohio. Have you ever heard of Pomeroy?
I have not.
Oh,
dang.
It doesn't exist anymore. Ohio cut it off the map.
So, and he also has a homie in the car with him.
Oh!
But he doesn't experience any of this, what's about to happen to Woody. So Woody says he feels a tingling on his forehead, like the center of his forehead,
Okay.
aka his third eye.
Oh, his chakras got realigned.
Yeah, I know.
Upgrade to level 2.
Apparently, I opened up my heart chakra yesterday in yoga class, but I don't feel any different. Anyways, he says he knew it was cold
Ice cold.
trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
He said he knew that little fuzzy feeling was cold. So he answered telepathically.
Whoa.
And Cold told him that his ship was above his truck, and he told him to drive carefully, and that they were following him. So, and Cold also said that he only asked Woody some questions the first time they met, so to get him like acclimated to aliens.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to like
So-
freak him out.
It was so the aliens are like, all right, we're gonna go down to Earth, gonna talk to humans. Best way to get them integrated is just to have small talk. Just like, so what's a city?
Yeah.
It's a place where people live and work. Do they live and work together, or is it just work? I don't know. Like,
Well, yeah, that's interesting as well, because the internet kind of paints Indrid Cold as this like menacing figure,
mhm.
when really he's not. Woody describes his being scared that first night,
Mhm.
not because Indrid Cold was scary, but because a UFO just pulled up in front of his car.
Yeah.
You know, that freaked him out. But he said Indrid Cold was very nice to him the entire time. It was
Mhm.
very friendly, very warm. So, like, the fact that, I don't know, where's the internet coming up with this? I don't understand. Anyways, so after they talk, oh, here we go. This is where we get Cold is from Lanulos. It's located close to Ganymede. Although he thinks Cold gave him the wrong location
Yeah.
in order to protect them, to protect the aliens,
Oh, he gave him the old wrong phone number.
basically. And he says that the planet is very similar to Earth. So similar that they have the same stuff that we do. I don't.
Hey.
Yeah, that comes up later, though.
Yeah.
But basically, they had taken samples of plants and animals and found out that their vegetation and our vegetation was basically the same, and same with our wildlife.
So it turns out that we are planet Loose the whole time.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Anyways, so
He's
also
a time traveler.
Oh.
no.
What if
He's
aliens
not.
are just people from the future and they've evolved to the point where they don't need genitalia or eyelids?
Well, I think Cold does have genitalia because the next thing he tells Woody is that he has 2 sons, 8 and 11,
What?
and his wife's name is Kimmy, and that they had a newborn baby named Kimmylis.
I didn't
Oh, man.
see any of this on
Whoa.
the internet.
Also, I thought you were gonna be like, and he does because then you told Woodrow that he did have genitalia. Like, it's just like because you're driving, you're with your friend, and your forehead starts buzzing, and it's like bring. It's like, hello. Hey, what's up? It's me, Indrid Cold, coming at you. Listen, got to tell you, I got a family, got a wife, got some kids. Definitely have genitalia. Not like those other cryptids out there. All right, bye.
Well, he also tells him that time is different on the planet Lanulos.
Yeah.
They have 3 seasons instead of 4, and they're called planting, harvesting, and cold.
Whoa.
So, I don't know. I guess,
they just deep freeze all the food.
anyways, the life expectancy is 125 to 175 Earth years.
Okay.
So they live a little bit longer. This is where he reveals that his first name is Indrid.
Okay.
So, and they break contact, or Cold breaks contact, and Woody says he felt exhilarated and had a slight throbbing in his right temple, but
Uh-oh.
eventually it went away.
That was the collect call.
So people are still showing up to his house. They're parking.
Illegally on his lawn.
Yeah, they're trying to look for Cold's ship, and he's like, I don't know where he is.
People are
said-
just breaking into the
He
house.
says people are like just calling his house phone like incessantly.
Yeah.
Like they never have a break. He says his work as a salesman died off
Yeah.
because people would call him out like 40 or 50 miles pretending to want to buy stuff, but when he gets there, they're like, So tell me about the aliens.
Oh no.
And they didn't want to buy anything that he was actually trying to sell, you know,
Jeez.
to make a living.
Yeah. Oh man, that's rough.
He says his kids were bullied at school.
Oh.
He says they were freaked out by how many people were just hanging outside of the house all the time.
Yeah.
This gives me like mother vibes.
It's really kind of sad.
Oh yeah, the movie. At first I was like,
Yeah, the movie
huh?
Mother
Yeah.
gives me that kind of vibe where like you're just at your house and all these people
People
just start coming in
showing up
and you're like,
start wrecking the joint. You're like, excuse me, please. I'm just trying to have some macaroni and cheese and watch Netflix, and people are just like coming in all over the place, being like, yo, where the aliens at?
It got so bad they had to move into a summer cabin that was owned by his wife's family
Yeah.
in order to like get away from the people. But they were only able to chill for a month because UFOs were sighted behind his house.
I know.
And everyone showed up again. And they were like, hey, this Woody guy's here. Let's all just crash in his lawn again.
What if it was Indrid Cold? He was like, oh man, like.
Might have been.
He's like, no, you gotta take responsibility. You put your name out there with my story. So then Indrid Cold just started flying by the house to get people to show up where Woodrow was.
Well, after they moved out of the summer cabin, they moved to Vienna, West Virginia, where everything was pretty chill for a little bit until a German documentary crew showed up to his house and was like,
Yeah.
talk about them aliens.
Where are them aliens at, Fraulein?
Does he say anything in the book about the trips he went on?
Oh, yeah.
Chilenulos?
We'll get there. We'll
Okay.
get there.
Okay.
I just want to share this first. After West Virginia, he moved to Cleveland, Ohio,
Whoop whoop!
Hey,
which is where he wrote
the
this
Drew
book.
Carey show.
No, he wrote this book in
Okay.
Cleveland. Hey, are you from Cleveland?
No.
Oh.
Do you know Drew Carey?
No.
Do you know Woody?
No.
How many Darren burgers?
How many Darren burgers have you eaten? Anyways, so after Christmas of 1966.
Okay.
So this is still in his first home.
Oh, okay.
So like, I just wanted to share all that first, his moving history, but most of this story takes place in that first home.
Okay.
So, but things would just got a little chaotic later. Anyways,
This whole story is chaotic.
Yeah.
it gets more.
Oh,
There's
jeez.
more.
I don't have the brain capacity for this story.
The brain capacity or the time zone because it is
Trust me,
early.
it ends up falling apart.
Oh.
Anyways, Darren Berger was visited after Christmas of 1966.
Okay.
So after the first couple of sightings, Darren Berger is visited by Bruce Parson of Cocoa Beach Police Department
Okay.
in Florida,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Tell
hey,
me about them aliens.
Yeah.
he's like, hey, I work for NASA. You know who would be interested in hearing about the aliens? NASA. You should come take a vacation in Florida with me.
To
So-
visit NASA.
To visit NASA.
Yeah.
So this is where he goes down to Florida with his whole family, and they stay there for about a week. But Darren Berger isn't doing much vacationing because he meets the head man of NASA named Charlie. That's the only name
Yeah.
given to him. And he's interrogated for 5 nights and was asked to repeat his story numerous times.
5 nights at Charlie's.
And after he shared it, they said, "You've told us nothing that we didn't already know." Anyways,
Whoa.
he's also interrogated by NICAP,
Okay.
and they interrogate him and other people who also saw the ship, because there was actually a couple other people. There's someone else on the road with him.
Well, I read that people
Like-
saw the ship.
Yeah.
Or no. People didn't see the ship, but they saw Indrid Cold standing next to the car. Is what my internet sources tell me.
okay.
That and then I also in the interview with his daughter, it says
Well, Woody says that he met several other people who saw the ship.
Yeah.
Those are some of the people who showed up to his house.
well, she
Okay.
claims that passerbys that night on the road never saw the ship, but they did see Woody talking to a gentleman on the side of the road with Indrid on the passenger side of the car.
Yeah, because I don't know if we mentioned this. Once Indrid Cold gets out of the ship, it floats up into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like actually on the road still.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. It floats
makes
back.
sense.
It floats back down once he gets back in.
And that's when the big giant hand comes out. and
Yeah,
grabs
sure.
him.
Yeah. That also never happened.
It's just like a wackadoo like UFO with like hands everywhere in it. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine inside.
Yeah. The U.S. Air Force also mailed him questionnaires.
So this got a lot more serious than I thought. Like, this isn't
Well,
just
we
wacky
don't know if
stories
this is actually true.
that he
Yeah.
was interrogated or anything like
Yeah,
that. Okay, that's
so-
true.
U.S. Air Force mailed him questionnaires. He filled out the questionnaires, and they never talked to him again. So, yeah. NICAP hired a Dr. Jenkins,
Dr. Jenkins.
a local psychiatrist, and asked to do brain work on him. They did an EEG,
Yeah.
and he came out all clear, so this guy's, like,
Yeah.
normal. But NICAP said not to talk to anyone else except for NICAP.
Yeah.
And then Woody said, I'll talk to anyone I want to. And he said that they got really angry and then never talked to him again.
Oh no,
So-
they had their first fight.
I don't know. Anyways, he's not talking to anybody, so I guess,
Yeah.
like, all right. Woody's also very sure that disclosure is coming and that either the government will have to tell us about the aliens or
Yeah.
that the aliens will tell us themselves. And it's been 50 years and still nothing has happened. Anyways, so we're cutting back to the nights where everyone's at his house, waiting for the aliens.
Yeah.
He tells them all to leave.
Hi everyone. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, everyone left, but Woody's parking his car, which makes me think that Woody maybe started staying out late because he didn't want to deal with all those people.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know if this is true. Anyways,
Maybe he just hated his family.
we'll see. So Woody drives home. No one's there. I mean, his family's there, but everyone's left. He's parking his car when he hears a voice. He hears the voice of Indrid Cold, who says, "Not to be afraid. We're on the back porch." So they go out.
No doorbell for him.
Yeah.
No, it's him. It's Indrid Cold and his friend Carl.
Carl.
They're chilling on the back porch.
Carl Colt, you think?
No, it's Carl Ardo.
Okay.
And there's a guy
Ardo.
named Demo Hassan.
Mhm.
Anyways, it gets out there. So Woody invites them inside. They're like, "No, we want to stay outside." So they stay on the porch for 2 hours,
Yeah.
and it's like really cold. And so this is where we start sharing some of the more wackadoo elements, if it isn't already wackadoo.
Yeah. This is where it starts getting weird.
So, first thing that they're unable to understand, they ask Woody to start explaining some of the customs of the planet,
Yeah.
and they ask him to explain war,
Okay.
and Woody is unable to explain the reasonings of war.
Yeah.
And I was like, fair enough, because I started thinking about it. I was like, how would you explain war to someone who doesn't understand war?
Yeah, because apparently on their planet
They don't have war.
they don't have war.
Yeah.
They only
Yeah.
have peace.
They don't understand hate either.
Mhm.
So they don't hate anybody. They also believe in God, and that God loves us all indiscriminately.
Hey.
But they are also unable to understand religious beliefs.
Wait a minute.
That's a
Wait.
little bit contradictory.
Yeah.
They're
They're
just
like-
wait, it gets more. He says, well, Woody said the reason we have war is hate. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Whoa.
Whoa.
Let me back it up. Cold says the reason we have war, after claiming that he doesn't understand why we have war, and he doesn't understand the concept of war, is that we hate each other,
Yeah.
and that we're unable to communicate with each other, and that if we had telepathy, we wouldn't have war.
Mm. Or we'd probably have more of it, because then we could all just be like reading each other's minds.
Yeah.
Like, well, you
Yeah.
guys are weird.
So, but apparently we all can use telepathy.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
He doesn't really detail it.
We only use 10% of our human brains.
Apparently, no one can read your mind if you don't want them to.
Yeah.
It's like a two-way thing. It's like if you try to call me,
Yeah.
but I don't pick up.
New phone, who dis?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same thing, but with
Okay.
our minds.
Whoa. We just don't know how to operate the receiver.
I guess so. Anyways, so Cold starts telling Woody a little bit about Lanulos
Okay.
and the
Lanulos.
Lanulos and the origins
La
of
la
the planet.
Lulus.
So how did people start populating Lanulos? Well, a ship crashed there from Earth.
What?
Whoa.
And the space travelers, both male and female, worked for several years to try to fix their ship, but they could never get it to fly.
Mhm.
They ended up fighting amongst themselves, and their anger at each other got so bad that they ended up splitting off with their family groups. Not sure where the families
Yeah,
came
Yeah,
where
if
the
it's just the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, they start splitting up. Apparently, there's like a lot of them.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of people on this
It's
ship.
just a
but-
ship full of people.
Yeah.
From
so
Earth.
nobody ended up repairing the ship. they all started like making farms on this planet,
Okay.
but they started missing their friends after like years because they're like, dang,
They're
being
like-
a lonely family sucks.
Yeah. On this place, it looks exactly like Earth in every way, shape, and form.
Right? So they wished to talk to their friends, and one day their wishes grew so strong that it worked, and their
Yeah.
thoughts brought them back together.
Oh, and they sang Kumbaya.
This is the beginning of telepathy. And realizing God had given them the chance to come together again, they devoted their learning to God's way and credit everything to God. And their planet is guided by the Guiding Council, comprised of representatives. See, this is where it gets really weird,
Yeah.
and Woody doesn't seem to keep track of it, because he says their planet is guided by the Guiding Council, but apparently the whole universe is also guided by the Guiding Council.
Mhm. It's a zoning thing.
Well, they're comprised of representatives. Number varies depending on the population of their world,
Okay.
and that they go around the universe and basically fix up planets. They like diagnose problems, and
Okay.
they're like, let's fix it.
They're like, you got a leaky radiator.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wait,
So-
wait. So, I'm just trying to piece it together.
All right.
All right. So, Indrid Cold, Demo Rosasos, and Arby's O'Houlihan.
It's right now. It's just Indrid Cold and Carl.
Oh, Carl. Yes.
Yeah.
Then there's a guy called Demo showed up too.
No, he shows up later.
Oh. But so he's telling Darren Berger that they're from an alien planet,
Yeah.
which is younger than Earth,
Yeah.
because at some point we sent ships over to their planet.
Yeah.
They claim they don't know what war or hate is, despite the fact that they are also humans, and their creation story involved people hating each other, walking away from each other, and then fighting each other again.
Yeah.
You know what hate is. Don't act like you're high and mightier than us, Indrid Cold. Your creation story is built into it. Like, so don't come over to our planet and start judging us. Also, technically, like he's
We're
not
the
an
same.
alien.
Yeah, he's not an alien.
He's human. Just like in Alien Covenant, that they're not really aliens anymore. The xenomorphs, because they're just
Oh yeah. they're
offshoots of
yeah.
human DNA. So like they're not even aliens.
Well,
I'm so lost.
Me
it's
too.
okay. We're almost to the end.
And I thought
Oh.
I had this figured out. I mean, I knew it was crazy, but I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, alien comes down in the spaceship. Cool. He's from this planet.
He's got a
cool,
green
cool.
jumpsuit on.
But now you say it's reverse Scientology.
Basically, and there's a
we're
little bit
the
of
alien-
communism thrown in.
Oh,
We'll
hey.
get there. Anyways, so basically, after they're done talking on the porch, right?
Okay.
Because they're still on the porch talking about all
Had a
this,
couple White Claws.
right? Indrid Cold's like, all right, we got to get out of here. Hey, you want to take a ride on the spaceship? And Woody says, no.
Really?
Yeah, he says no.
No.
He goes inside and goes to bed. 2 days later, he finds him hanging out in his backyard again, and they're like, they talk again for a lengthy amount of time. This
Yeah.
time, Woody doesn't say what they talk about, and he says, again, Indrid Cold's like, all right, I'm gonna head out. Hey, you wanna take a look at the spaceship? I won't give you a ride, but I'll give you a tour of what it looks like inside.
Yeah.
And Woody's like, all right, I'm down. So he's shown how the ship works and everything, and he has a drawing of it, and it doesn't make any sense. It's in the very first page.
Ooh, yeah. Let's see what it is.
It looks like a whale.
Hey, it looks like Slave One.
Low key.
Yeah. Oh, it was Boba Fett's ship.
Yeah. So he says yes. So he's shown around the ship, and then as he's leaving the ship, he's going out the door, and he sees a button about shoulder height, and it's blue, and he presses it, and it closes the door in his face. And he gets freaked out, and he's like, well, I guess they're going to take me up whether I want to or not.
Oh my God, I'm being abducted.
And Indrid
As he
Cold,
starts pressing all the buttons.
well, Indrid Cold starts laughing at him because he can read his mind.
Yeah.
And he's like, Woody, we're not going to take you anywhere if you don't want to. And he's like, then why'd you close the door? He's like, you closed the
You
door.
pushed the button.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why he would think Indrid closed the door.
Yeah.
If he was the one who pressed the button,
He just was like,
you know. He's like, clearly the door closing and me pressing the button right next to the door are not interlinked at all. Anyways, Indrid Cold lets him off, and he doesn't take
Lets him off with a warning.
And then he says, one night at 6 p.m., He's driving home and he gets a message from Indrid Cold and he says, "Yo, come meet me at this place." Like off the side of the road. So Indrid Cold gives him directions, like in old school Google Maps almost.
Yeah. But inside his mind.
I can't handle this.
Trust me, Jasmine, we're almost done. Indrid says, "Hey, you want to take a ride on a spaceship?" for the third time.
Yeah.
And Woody finally says yes. And he says, "Anywhere on the Earth you want to go to, we'll go." And Woody says, "I want to go to the Amazon jungle." So they're flying over the Amazon jungle, like apparently really low, like
Yeah.
just above people's houses.
They're like hitting cable lines. They're knocking chimneys off. They're just like.
But then, instead of going back home, they take him to the mothership, or the flagship of Lanulos, which is 600 miles above the surface of the moon.
Okay.
Woody says below the surface of the moon, but I'm pretty sure he means above. Because it's not, he describes it as being in orbit above the moon.
Yeah.
He doesn't say orbit, though. This man does not know science.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It was, because it was like the south side of the moon.
The south side of the moon. So, he's taken on board the flagship of Lanulos after they dock on it. He meets the commander. He's given alien food, which tastes like deer, mashed potatoes, and green beans.
Oh, okay. But it's like all glittery.
It's also, the ship is as big as a football field and 9 stories tall.
Wow.
And then they fly to about 50 feet above the surface of the moon, and they're shown craters on the moon.
Wait, did he go to the Amazon at all?
He did. They flew over.
Oh, okay.
I scared a bunch
Remember
of
they were knocking over chimneys?
Oh, okay, that's right.
Alex.
Because I was like, I was thinking, he's like, "Can I see the Amazon?" He's like, "Sure," and they just went to the moon. Earthling, is this not the Amazon?
Well, then he's taken to Saturn, okay? Because that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And this is where the story starts to fall apart. Because apparently the planet Saturn, and I'm pretty sure we knew what the planet Saturn looked like in '66.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
It's the
Woody.
big one with the ring around it.
You're right. He says that Saturn's actually a big bowl, and that people are living in it like a valley. And
Okay.
there's ice around the edge of the bowl,
Okay.
and that the rings are actually they're actually rainbows created by the sun shining on the ice.
Oh. I can see that.
That's not
And
how it
everyone-
works.
It's just like
not
living.
how it works.
It's just people travel around on skateboard because it's just a big giant half pipe
And this is also when he goes to Lanulos for the first time.
just past Uranus.
But they couldn't land, apparently. He wasn't
They
allowed to land.
Didn't have the proper
But they
guidance.
flew close to the surface, and he could wave at people, and they would wave back. I knew you would get a kick out of that one.
I got.
So, basically, that's when I realized this story is fake.
It was
This-
at that point.
it was
That
at that
point.
point.
Everything's
I-
fake.
the waving.
Wanted to believe. But here are some of his other claims. So, on a separate trip, he lands on Lanulos, and he meets Indrid's kids. He meets Connard, his 12-year-old son, and he also meets Conor, his 9-year-old son.
Connor and Conor.
But if you remember, I mentioned earlier
He had
that he had a newborn daughter.
yeah.
Now,
Chemist.
Kimmel-less,
Kimmelis.
who was born, before that first encounter in
Yeah.
November, right? Well, apparently here we're changing the story. We're retconning that
Yeah.
because she was born shortly after Christmas.
Okay.
So that he also meets a family from Acapulco, Mexico, who
Yeah.
also lives on Lanulos.
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 They got good real estate.
They also believe in reincarnation, and
Okay.
that's how they reach perfection.
Okay.
Very Buddhist idea.
Yeah. It's a little bit of Doomsday too.
Is it?
From
don't know what that
from
means.
Superman comics.
No.
Doomsday. He kills Superman. He's like this big giant rampaging monster. They created basically like a genetic form. It's like, oh, it's strong and the resistance, and they just dropped it off on a planet that killed it. Grabbed the body, recloned the body, and it kept getting stronger and stronger.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess it's more in the sense of Buddhism, in that you keep reincarnating until you reach the state of nirvana, which is a state of perfection.
And you get to listen to Nevermind.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Anyways, so apparently in warm weather on Lanulos, they just walk around naked.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty. I was thinking about that. I was like, you're taking a bus, man.
Oh man.
You sit down with your bare butt cheeks.
That's
That's pretty nasty.
just like regular Hollywood.
They also only have decaf coffee
Oh, that's
of
it.
all the details.
You alien bastards have gone too far.
So also everyone gets paid, even though everyone who's able to works.
Yeah.
But if you're like old or sick or something, you don't have to work.
You still get a paycheck?
You still get a paycheck.
Huh.
When Woody said, "Hey, is that communism?" Indrid Cold says, "No." But also, you're only allowed to have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Which
On
is
Lanulos?
on Lanulos, which sounds exactly like China.
Wait.
But he has
He has
3.
three.
He has 3.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Like I said. But you can also adopt.
Okay.
So maybe Conor or Connard is
Yeah, man.
adopted.
I mean, you figure. All right. So is a planet where everyone gets paid, whether you're old, you're just hanging out, like you get paid. Oh, that's cool. Everyone gets a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's so hot that they're like, you know what? There's no way that we could harness centralized air to create AC and or even a fan, even though we have intergalactic travel.
Yeah, no AC.
This is buck ass naked.
Yeah.
And that must lead to a lot of people copulating, which leads to a giant population boom. So they need to put a cap on how many babies people have, but adoption's really big because people are
Yeah.
people walking around
Well,
naked
apparently
left and right.
their sidewalks move as well. They're like conveyor belts.
So they can create moving conveyor belt sideways, but they don't know what air is. They're like AC.
AC, what
They're
it
like,
do?
oh, you crazy Earthlings! Don't you just
Uh,
walk around naked?
Well, one night, sorry, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. One night, I promise, I'm almost to the end here. One night, Woody's at his home, and this dude named Jim Hackett shows up, and he's like, "Yo, where the aliens at?" And Woody says, "They're up on this hill." So he's like, "I bet." And so Jim goes up there with his cousin Darla. They're having a good time UFO watching.
Yeah.
And then this UFO shows up, and there's people in there, but they don't look quite human, and they're like, I was going to do a Terminator quote, but
Yeah.
basically they try to rob this man of everything that he's got, but Indrid Cold shows up and is like,
Give me your boots, your jacket, and your bike,
"Your motorcycle."
your motorcycle.
And so Indrid Cold shows up and wards them off, and then he explains to Woody and this guy named Jim Hackett that these are called humanoids, and they're not from this universe, and that on their planet, that anything that is like left on the ground is like fair game.
Okay.
Like it could be yours.
There's no
like-
5-second rule.
Like basically, Alex, if you're not using your notebook right now, so
Yeah.
if I were to pick it up, it's my notebook now. Basically, that's how it works. So
Okay.
they weren't trying to steal it.
they were like, hey, that's ours now.
Yeah, basically. He said that they don't harm anybody, that they're not harmful at all. But I
Okay.
feel like it could be harmful.
They're just kleptomaniacs.
Also, he says that Betty and Barney Hill had their encounter with these humanoids.
Oh.
But the descriptions are completely different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
completely
Yeah.
different, and it does not meet the world building that had previously been set up by
Yeah.
Barney and Betty.
Basically. But he
C
also...
minus, see me after class.
He ends up meeting this family from Venus. He ends up having dinner with this family on Venus, and they're the ones who fly the flying saucers. Because Indrid Cold ship is more like a cigar-shaped thing.
Yeah.
But the people who fly flying saucers are from Venus.
Okay.
And they're like 5'10". Apparently, all of them are 5'10".
It's because the gravity is, I think, a little heavier on Venus.
I guess so, but I'm like 5'10".
Oh.
I don't know. Anyways, the big kicker here is that he claims that he knows why the government is hiding UFOs. And that's because the aliens want to set up an economy, like a universal economy with them.
Yeah.
And it would crash ours. And the people who are in power are afraid they'll lose control over the working class.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to hide UFOs from us.
Okay.
The end.
Whoa. That was
Well,
quite
buddy,
an adventure.
that was a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense though. I mean, the story doesn't, but the
No.
fact
I was gonna be like, Jasmine's like, oh, I get it. I understand.
the fact that Eli has all this information is because he literally read the book that Derenberger wrote.
Oh, there's more. There's more.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
why I stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I like I said, I had watched an interview with his daughter,
Ah,
and
who claims to also know Indrid Cold as well, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't buy it.
she also has written a book
Yeah,
about it called Beyond Lanulos.
I almost bought it.
Um,
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
she says that
Saved $2.99.
her dad would go missing for days or weeks at a time, sometimes coming back not knowing where he'd been, like having no memory of it, or he was able to like recount his visits to Lanulos. He became a heavy drinker, though.
Oh, that probably explains why he was gone.
I was gonna say
Always seemingly on the verge of nervous collapse.
his daughter said he'd be gone for days at end. He'd come home disheveled, stinky, saying that Lemonos, the atmosphere made you smell like alcohol.
Well, his life kind of goes into a downward spiral
It
from here
does.
because he was gone all the time. People kept coming over. Like the whole showing up on the front lawn and in the yard thing didn't stop. And his wife couldn't take it and actually denied it for a lot of years. But in 2009, when she was on her deathbed, she told their daughter's name is Tanya. She told Tanya that she, like, basically she was just giving an example kind of confirming the Indrid Cold stuff and, like, how Woodrow was, like, involved with weird things because the mom would come home from the store sometimes and Woody would be able to like look at her and say, you bought this, 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 and this at the store. And it would be exactly what she had bought.
Weird.
So like,
Whoa.
you know, Indrid had been watching and then like told Woodrow like telepathically this is what she has. And like, I don't know if it was like a game or like a proof thing.
Yeah.
But
the greatest power harness, telepathy, used as a parlor trick to tell his wife what you bought from the store.
But after the 80s,
Whoa.
Woodrow didn't speak much of it anymore. When was the book written?
Let's see. I don't know, because this version was actually printed when I bought it.
Oh, okay.
So, let me see.
Made to
I'll try.
order?
It is.
Oh.
Interesting. But after the 80s, he was pretty old and he didn't speak much of it because he tried to reclaim his life and get out of the limelight. Here's a real kicker. Tanya claims that when Woodrow passed away in 1990, Indrid Cold was at the funeral.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Are there pictures?
But nobody realized it.
Yeah.
Are there
No.
pictures?
Speaking of pictures, the only pictures that I can find of Indrid Cold, aside from like artist renderings, are like the one black and white photo of
like
a
just
dude
like
with
a
some
weirdo in a trench
sunglasses
coat.
and a hat. Like, doesn't match the description at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No.
But then the other one that I think is pretty funny is if you read some articles, they use a picture from an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer called, I actually don't remember what the episode is called, but the character is called The Gentleman. And let me see. It's called, the episode is called Hush, and it's where the residents of Sunnydale lose the power of speech as mysterious creatures search the town for human hearts to steal.
That's a good episode, too.
It is, and the character looks kind of like what Indrid Cold might look like, but not exactly. It's like a
Indrid Cold
scarier
mixed
version.
With Slender Man, kind of.
Yeah, because he doesn't look like a normal person. He looks like a monster, but he has a huge smile, and there's multiple of these men. And the lead one is actually played by an actor named Doug Jones, who
You tweeted.
I did tweet. I've met Doug Jones a couple of times.
Whoa, what?
Whoa,
He's
you
a
met
lovely
Indrid
guy.
Cold?
Well, no. I met Doug Jones,
Doug
who was also in the Bye Bye Man. And
Jones.
Anyways, so
He's the sea creature in what was that movie that came out?
Hellboy,
Well, he's Abe Sapien, but Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
He's
Doug Jones?
Yeah.
Doug Jones is also the Pale Man from Pan's
He's
Labyrinth,
the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth.
as well as the Fawn from
He's
Pan's
the
Labyrinth.
Oh,
Fawn.
I see.
Yeah, he's also the Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. You guys ever see Hocus Pocus?
No.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
the Billy.
Billy?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in like every. Doug Jones is awesome.
You've seen Doug
Yeah.
Jones in a lot of movies and just
Probably.
haven't realized it. But I say all of that to say this. I have met Doug Jones, so he probably didn't make the connection on who I am via Twitter, but like if he sees me in person, he knows who I am.
Yeah.
That's just a little brag right there. But anyways, I tweeted him because I
Look at
wanted
these
to
freaking
know.
guys.
I wanted to
Yeah.
know if, these characters that he was playing was based off of the legend of Indrid Cold.
Right.
So I tweeted Doug Jones and asked him this, and Doug responded saying that he didn't know where the inspiration came from for Mr. Whedon. So unfortunately, we don't know if there really is any tie into that, but the internet seems to like to attach that photo to a lot of Indrid Cold articles and things
Yeah.
like that.
I even found an article that had a picture of the Joker on it.
Yeah, I wanted to believe this man because his life does go into a downward spiral. I
Yeah.
was like, why would he be making it up? His book is clearly made to order. It's not like
Yeah.
it's selling off the shelves. But as I kept reading, I realized this guy was like Bob Lazar Jr. It's like he is the prototype for what Bob Lazar eventually became.
Yeah.
And you know, like Bob Lazar had George Knapp to help him like blow up the story.
They kind of give it a little more like credibility too.
Right.
It's like,
And that's what you know, John Keel writes the foreword for this book.
mhm.
And that John Keel was like investigated it supposedly.
Yeah.
But you know, John Keel's also full of it. So like, you know, it never really got. I mean, obviously everyone knows Indrid Cold. Like Indrid Cold like shows up all the time.
Yeah.
But like,
But like in the but in the actual like relation to the character, that Darren Berger's story and what we think Indrid Cold is completely different.
yeah,
Because it's just like some weirdo alien who's just like, hey, listen, like when it's hot, we get naked. That's it. And then everyone was like, Indrid Cold, Mothman prophecies. It's like this strange, mysterious character that can be like, they're coming for you. You gotta run. And it's like, whoa. And it's like, nah, it's just kind of a lame
yeah, he has
story.
nothing to do with Mothman.
No, it doesn't. And there's that weird tie-in and that weird association that they had with the Mothman thing. I remember, I have an article pulled up on my phone right now, but I don't feel like skimming it. But so maybe you'll remember. Wasn't there like a story about a guy with a pen and an
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
investigator?
Well, yeah, he never says that his name is Cold, but a lot of people think it is
Mhm.
because it's the Men in Black
Yeah.
that show up, which I feel like we could do an episode on.
Oh.
But what's
Here comes
weird
the
about
Man in
that
Black.
is that this guy was significantly shorter. He was
Mhm.
very short and had
Yeah.
strange eyes that were covered with thick glasses, long black hair, like a bowl haircut. He was surprised about the pen, but like I don't know. I just feel like so much of this stuff is forced to be connected when there's not really any
A
connections.
connection.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing is, you know, there could be all kinds of weird stuff running around.
Yeah.
You know, you got a Mothman running around. You got the Men in Black. Also, just like in West Virginia, because I mean, you got the Flatwoods Monster in West Virginia. Like West
Yeah.
Virginia is just full of weirdos, and
I
everyone's
know.
like, it's all connected.
But it's not. Well, because Benjamin Radford talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about him in the Chupacabra episode.
Okay.
And he also did some investigations into Champ. And he's like kind of friends with Joe Nickel.
Okay.
So he's in there, but he just came out with an article online where he's talking about, because he's the guy who interviewed Madeline Tolentino, the first lady.
the lady who saw Chupacabra,
yeah,
right?
and realized it was from Species. He's the guy who did that.
Okay.
And so he was talking about how the first time the Chupacabra ever showed up was 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, well, what about the Vampire of Mocha? You know,
Yeah.
because that showed up in the 70s. He's like, well, there's really no reason to connect the two
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't called the Chupacabra, it was called the Vampire of Mocha, and the descriptions are completely different.
Yeah.
So it's like, as far as I'm concerned, the Chupacabra only existed since 1995.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, just because they happen in the same general location does not mean they are connected.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like that was relevant.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, not everything's connected.
Or everything is connected because that's what we're
Whoa.
supposed to be talking about. Those are the theories we're supposed to be investigating, you guys. Everything is connected and it's all conspiracies.
Jasmine's waving a sharp stick at us. Oh my god. I have a pretty
What poor alien did you steal that from?
Toby.
an
Toby!
Hey, an intergalactic peg. We got I think that's kind of it, huh? More
Yeah.
or less.
I mean, yeah, if you want to stop there, because, I mean, Darren Berger's kind of the bulk of it.
Mhm.
There was another sighting. But
Oh, yeah.
again,
Oh,
I
this
don't even
sighting
see...
is this the one
with the girl.
Yeah.
Share
no,
it. I would like to hear.
I don't even know
This
how
one's pretty good.
how
Yeah.
this connects, though, because
It probably doesn't.
it's a family called the Lilly family.
Ooh.
And this case is detailed in the Mothman Prophecies book. So,
Mhm.
Point Pleasant, the Lillys claimed to have been seeing strange lights in the sky right above their home at least every single night and experienced strange poltergeist-like events in their house. Mrs. Lilly said, "We've seen all kinds of strange things. Blue lights, green lights, red ones, things that change color. Some have been so slow that we thought we could see diamond-shaped windows in them, and none of them make any noise at all. Cars near the Lily home would stall for no reason. Kitchen cabinets and doors inside the home would slam unexpectedly in the middle of the night. They sometimes heard the sound of a baby crying.
Oh, that was Indrid Cold's new baby.
Yeah.
And Linda, the daughter of the family, said that she had dreamt about a man, a big man, very broad. I couldn't see his face very well, but I could see that he was grinning at me. He stood, walked around the bed, and stood right over me. I screamed again and hid under the covers, and when I looked again, he was gone. So, like, this girl dreamt about some creepy guy smiling at her, so everyone's like, Indrid Cold!
Oh
And
my
it's
God,
like,
Indrid Cold.
I don't know.
He's changed his MO. He's gone from asking what a city is and getting to know people and telepathy with a Wheelburger to just straight up terrorizing a random family with poltergeist activity.
Yeah, like, I don't see the connection.
That's what really happened every night on the back porch. He's like, hey, you want to take a ride on the spaceship
Yeah.
and terrorize some families?
Yeah, it's like we're gonna go out there, drink a couple White Claws, raise some hell.
But that's the thing is, like, Tanya claims that Indrid never tried to scare her, and, like, Derenberger claims that he was never menacing. So,
Right.
like, why is this girl, like, who's having these terrifying dreams and, like, having all this poltergeist activity, like, what makes us think it's Indrid Cold?
Right. There is
It's
no
just
connection.
It happened in Point Pleasant, so like it was him. It was him, or it was Mothman. Maybe Mothman is just like, screw it. You know, my grand finale will be the bridge, but for tonight, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
open these cabinets.
I think people just try to connect too much, and it's like it doesn't have to be all
Yeah,
connected.
it can all just be weird, random, chaotic nonsense. Like it's okay. Don't gotta be connected.
It's okay.
But there probably is some small connection that we're just not seeing. You know, the butterfly effect.
He's smiling.
Oh.
The green metallic suit that he was never reported to wear.
He's got a black belt in judo. My favorite, I guess I'll end on this claim by Derenberger. I found this online. Alright, so we've had Derenberger, he's like, they're aliens from a planet that we colonized.
Yeah.
So we're the aliens.
We're the aliens.
Here's one of Derenberger's own claims.
Okay.
They're time travelers, Woody said. In the fourth dimension. One reason they can't stay here too long at a time is because they get younger down here instead of older.
What in the
Benjamin
world?
Button.
Their lifespan is 125 to 175 years, but
Yeah.
if they stayed here too long, I think they go back in years and possibly forget how to manipulate the craft.
What?
So if they're on Earth, they get younger,
Well, so
and
does,
if they're on Earth for too long, they just straight up forget how to fly their spaceships. Maybe that's what happened to Roswell.
wait, does that mean they? So us from the future crashed on Lanulos, but they're traveling backwards through time
Yeah.
on their planet. That doesn't. I don't understand.
Derenberger, what is happening?
Can I read this last little quote I have from John Keel from the foreword of this book?
Yeah.
From Visitors from Lanulos. He says, I am not asking you to believe any of it, but I am asking you to listen to what he has to say. Incredible though it may seem, it is very possible that these very same things could happen to you tomorrow.
In the Twilight Zone.
Which sounds very Boggy Creek to me.
Yeah. That's just John Keel trying to set up another angle that he can sell a book at.
Yeah, basically.
It would have been great too if the quote was like, "I'm not asking you to believe.
I'm
John
telling
Keel."
you to believe.
Yeah.
I'm not-
Pulled out a gun.
Anyways, I think that's about it for this.
I think
I'm sorry for talking your guys' ear off, but I guess that's why you're listening to a
yeah.
podcast.
I mean, you've stayed with us for this long. You survived the Bronze Age. You survived the Thespian Thunderbirds lost episode. You survived the hike up Bigfoot Mountain. So you can survive anything.
It's just so funny because we pick these topics. Like, we literally have meetings where we sit down and we're like, all right, what are we going to talk about this month? We're going to do this, and this. And we're like, cool. And then we, like, start researching and we're like, this is not interesting
This-
or fun or believable,
this
but we
is a
have to
load.
keep doing it because we said we would.
And that harkens back to the very spirit of Cryptid Campfire.
What is that?
Well, just because when we first started the podcast, we got together like, all right, let's talk about lake monsters, chupacabra, and ooh, you know what, night crawlers.
Oh,
yeah.
I know about them. They sound really cool. It's like, all right,
And
get
there's
down the brass
nothing.
tacks, and it's just like there might be a stick that looks like a night crawler that was once reported by somebody in Fresno who moved away. And like, that's it. It's like, all right, gotta stretch that out for a half hour.
It's just funny because there's so much hype around different things, like the night crawlers and like Indrid Cold, and you think and even Area 51, like you think there's so
There's,
much
some
history
meaty
and
secret
so
to it.
much secrets and conspiracy, but there's really not that much
or even-
going on.
or-
It's disappointing. It's discouraging.
Jasmine's getting more animated. Because she's just got a sharp
Please,
object.
please, careful with that thing around Toby.
Oh,
Toby's
for sure.
got big eyes.
I'm not gonna stab him.
It even goes back to the Chupacabra. It just showed up in 1995.
Just out of nowhere.
And that was the only time we ever got the report that it looked like the Chupacabra. Because after that, it's just a big old dog.
Yeah, I know. It just, I don't
So
know.
where does the truth end and the real stuff begin?
It's just heartening, but
But
you know, that's life, and
Yeah.
that's science.
you just gotta keep trekking on. Like Woodrow Wilson.
But we've got more fun stuff planned ahead, so it's not the end. We still believe in some things, guys.
Yeah, no, it's all real. It's all true.
It's funny because all the episodes I do with Jasmine, I'm like, these are all fake. But then all the episodes we've done with Stefan, I'm like, this seems legit. This seems really, like, there's something going on here.
There's something hidden.
I'm sorry, Jasmine.
You ain't gotta be sorry.
Well,
This is a journey of discovery,
Yeah.
Eli. I
A
am
journey.
learning.
we're on a journey of self-discovery.
I'm
While
bec-
we're on an actual intergalactic journey in a spaceship.
I'm becoming educated. That way, when I encounter people in the real world walking down the street and someone just grabs my arm and goes, "Have you heard about Indrid Cold?" I can be like, "Yeah, no," and just walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I am down with that Luminous lifestyle.
Lanulos.
Lanulos. Ooh.
Wait, we didn't mention though that the word Lanulos comes from an anagram of like Sol and Luna, which is sun and moon in Spanish. So that's a thing.
Whoa.
You have to use the
Lanulus.
U twice, though.
That was
Oh,
No, you
in
don't.
Spanish. Yeah, okay.
I was
see
gonna
what
say
you're
that was Darren Berger. He just he was like, I'll throw an extra U
saying.
in there.
It means
What did
sun
I
and
read?
moon in Spanish.
Yeah.
I think so.
It does.
Whoa.
Did I just blow your
Did
mind
we just
with
crack
that?
the case?
No, but what does that mean? Why?
Here, I'll read.
It
I'll
sounded
read.
cool.
So I have a quote from one of my sources.
Excuse me.
Jesus. So, lanulos is a word that may be pure gibberish, concocted by Darren Berger's mind, or an anagram for the Spanish words sol and luna. And what is it that we get when the sun and moon get together? Why, twilight, of course. And that's all it says.
Of course.
Stephanie Myers.
That's
It-
putting it all together.
Twilight
It's all-
Zone.
Ooh. What's this planet called again?
Lanulos.
Lanulos.
All right.
Maybe we can go talk to the aliens. Be like, hey, can we swing by Lanulos? Like
We
here
did, and
they
it's
got
not there.
raging parties.
Toby, do you got the hookup?
Toby's
Toby. Alright.
down with them. That nudist lifestyle.
Oh my lord. He was like that when I found him.
Yeah.
I had to put a Cryptid Campfire shirt on him just to keep him from being buck nude.
we introduced him to the wild human concept of clothes.
Anyways, I think that's about it.
You'll
Yeah.
first.
So if I want to find you on
Ooh.
the interwebs,
Me on the interwebs. I am Alex Daikaiju, and if you want to find me on the Instagram and or the Twitter, you can find me at Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex DAIKAIJU. Keep posted to my Instagram. I'm posting some cryptid art as we go along, talking about these weirdos. And what about yourself, fella?
you can find me at Cryptid Campfire. I run the official Instagram for Cryptid Campfire. That's
Mhm.
probably the best way to reach me. But if you feel like giving me a follow, I'm at the Eli Watson on both Instagram and Twitter. You can find me there.
Ooh.
And Jasmine, if I have a cool story I want to tell you and I want to look deep into your eyes, how can I contact
I want
you?
to tell you about, the state of Ohio.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My name's the same on both platforms. Jasmine Maywith, JasmineMaywith.
Ooh.
I occasionally log on to the Cryptid Campfire Twitter as well.
Yeah, we have the Cryptid Campfire Twitter, which I think we're all logged into in some way or another.
We
Yeah.
are.
There's a chance. It's what is it?
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble. What is it? Russian roulette that you'll be talking to one of us.
Yep.
And if you got any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com. We love to get emails. Any weird stories? Tell us. We want.
We wanna know.
Maybe we'll say them on the podcast.
All right.
I think that's everything. We'll see you guys next week when we talk about something even weirder.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
All right, Toby, let's go.